Indeed, all the way through till 2 o'clock this afternoon. Great to have your company this afternoon. Live here on Dubai 103.8. A huge thanks to all the team at Virtue Zone for making this happen, making dreams come true, and of course, allowing you to become your own boss. Neil Petch alongside me. What have we got? We're waiting. Obviously, it's that sort of strange time of year. We're sort of a week away, or probably a little bit more than a week away from Ramadan. It's almost the last weekend before Ramadan. There's a lot going on in the city, correct?
The weather is changing, but you know what's really changing? The world right in front of us. Mm-hmm. Imagine suddenly that you were able to sell your goods to 100 million more people than ever you were able before. That's what I think tokenization is, but then I'm an amateur, so we've got some experts in the studio.
Well, I'm glad you sort of addressed that straight away, because I think the whole definition of phrases out there is key. And as you say, we've been blessed to be joined by a couple of experts in this field. From Zand Bank, the head of corporate business is joining us. Ahsan Sharif is with us. Ahsan, always good to see you. Thanks so much indeed for your time.
Pleasure. It's good to be here, Tom.
How do you define tokenization?
Well, tokenization, it's not a new concept. Tokenization is literally taking, it's taking an information, creating an information wrapper, and creating around it an asset, and then putting it on a blockchain. So idea is to distance the actual sensitive information away, and then transport that information across a network. So tokenization is essentially using that. In the context of blockchain, the tokenization essentially is when we put that information, the token, on a blockchain, and which has a value. It could be around a product, an asset, a service, and that token is then transported across. The whole purpose, the underlying purpose of tokenization is security itself, that you do not expose information.
That's one take on tokenization. Let's get another as well. Blessed to be joined in studio by the CEO and the co-founder of Mantra, fintech entrepreneur, an investor, an educator, and today a radio star. John Patrick Mullin is alongside us. John, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
You can either do I concur with the good doctor, or you can give us your take.
I do concur. I would maybe just take a little bit of a different spin on it from my perspective, building a tokenization blockchain layer. So agree with everything Ahsan said. We're actually more on the DeFi or decentralized finance side of things. So we're looking at it more from a crypto native perspective. And what that means for us is transacting tokens across blockchains and allowing that access that Neil mentioned earlier to individuals around the world. And tokens for us can exist in any type of form, any type of asset class. We don't really care. We want to build the technical protocol that supports this tokenization for it to be easy and simply done technically, but then safe, compliant, and trustworthy as well. Obviously, distribution is a big part of this, and we're working with different partners in the region to make tokenization a reality here. And it is a buzzword. I'll be completely honest, it's a buzzword. So hopefully we can unpack that a little bit today.
Well, we've sort of unpacked it a little bit there, and tokenization is what's brought us four together today. It's the common theme, if you like, the common thread between us four. But before we even do that, I'll probably jump the gun a little bit. The gun? Probably not the gun a little bit as well. I've certainly jumped the gun by not allowing us to introduce ourselves in terms of what we do. So let's get the mantra from Mantra if we can. What's Mantra do, and how does it set itself apart from competition in the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mantra is effectively building the tokenization stack, as I mentioned. We're building both the protocol level, so the actual blockchain itself that supports tokenization, as well as the application. So you think about the underlying infrastructure for supporting this, the actual blockchain itself, as well as the place where you can distribute these assets, where you can buy them, where you can sell them. For us, the protocol level is something that is literally just a technical ledger. It's infrastructure, right? It's kind of like the internet, right? Where anything can be built on the TCP/IP protocol of the internet. The application would be the website that you visit, how you interact, and be able to buy goods, consume information, etc. We differentiate ourselves by building both. We build the layer that transacts information on, as well as the place where you can actually store that information, buy it, access it. We're newer in the region. We've been, looking at the UAE for about a little bit over a year. I actually just flew in from Hong Kong yesterday, so I'm based in HK, and we believe that these two particular regions, Hong Kong, the UAE, are ripe for tokenization, and hopefully we can be building that corridor together with some of our partners on this.
Well, you mentioned partners, and we've got, of course, Ahsan with us here from Zand Bank. Now, it's got the word bank in there, Ahsan, but is it a bank, Jim, or not as we know it? What is Zand Bank?
Zand is a digital bank, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to clear what is a digital bank, because people seem to confuse a digital bank with maybe an online banking service, which many of the banks have. So in a sense, a digital bank is a bank which provides you services which are digital native, which are not based on your traditional financial services stack. So, many a time people ask, what's the difference between you and a traditional bank? And I think rather than having a faceplate, which is digital in the front end, in the back end, we're completely manual or traditional, digital bank services would leverage what the newer technologies are, as John would said, that we use web chain, and we use many other newer technology from Web3, from Web2. We facilitate fintech. So that's where the essential differences are on a digital bank. So innovative banking services, harnessing the power of AI, that's what Zand is all about.
Tom, let me jump in and tell you why I'm super excited that these two gentlemen are around the table today. Firstly, great timing. Bitcoin's at, 63, something like that.
Yeah.
I was meeting with a customer yesterday. He was setting up an SPV specifically to lend his own Bitcoin, which he was receiving a very nice interest rate, and he was being paid, and the clever listeners out there can work out how much money he had. He's getting 6 Bitcoin back a month in interest.
A month?
A month. Wow. Yeah. So great timing. Yep. The wave is happening again. Now, starting up, this show is for people who are starting up. It's for entrepreneurs. And starting up and VirtueZone are always trying to solve pain points. One pain point, Tom, you mentioned it, banking. But banking is just the start of it, right? So I know that Zand Bank, I'm a bit of a dog with a loud bark. It's the people who are quiet who deliver. And I think that Zand Bank actually represent absolutely that, building something from the ground up to deliver what startups want and to make it more immediate, more seamless, and deliver exactly what you need, because there's a huge market out there. Secondly, those startups need access to funding. And so Mantra, it's all about making it more accessible. It's what the UAE is trying to do. It's trying to say, why is Silicon Valley the center of startups? Why can't it be the UAE, where tax is an awful lot better, but access to funding? And one way we can get access to funding is by combining the technology that John's been talking about with the banking facilities, and through tokenization. All of you guys who start up, you're sitting on an asset that probably is very difficult at the moment to borrow against. But perhaps these guys are going to work out the solution for us.
So, reading in between the lines, and again, not just because you're sitting alongside me and because Jeff is outside there, but you, Jeff, George, the rest of the team down at VirtueZone, I mean, you've noticed trends when it comes to the entrepreneurial spirit here, and it has changed in, the 15, 16 years that you've been making people their own bosses as well. To your mind, the house view at VirtueZone is that this is the way forward, this is the future.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the last few years, we had the Abraham Accords, suddenly a brand new country opened up for us. We had COVID, suddenly global nomads such as John are going, you know what, I can run my business from anywhere in the world. I'm sure so many Zand customers are, not necessarily always based here, but are spending more and more time here, putting more and more money into the economy. And the next part of the trend is technology and what that enables us to do. And so the Web3 space. Now, during the last, let's call it crypto boom, there were a load of projects that were perhaps not built of concrete. The foundations were not there. But the technology that John is mentioning and that Ahsan also spoke about, the technology is brilliant, and it allows us to be more transparent, more secure, and move faster. This guy yesterday, I saw there's a whale watch where you can see what the whales are investing, and he transferred, I think it was $14 billion of Bitcoin. And do you know how much it cost him to do it? Sorry, Ahsan, $2. Okay, it cost him $2 to send that amount of money from one place to another. That's what technology allows, and what I love about what Zand Bank are doing is they're trying to bring that efficiency to the consumer. And if we do it better in the UAE than anywhere else, wow, that's an opportunity.
John, tech's the enabler?
Absolutely. I mean, I think for us, I've been in crypto for some time now. Bought my first Bitcoin back in 2013. So have seen all the waves, all the booms. I think you've seen how people have become a lot more serious about the actual asset, but the tech has always been there, right? It's improving. There's still room for improvement. We believe that we're at the kind of the forefront of the tech wave within Web3. We're building on a very kind of unique tech stack. I won't really get into that too much because it'll probably go way over people's heads.
Definitely over mine.
Yeah. If I start talking about the Cosmos SDK, people might be a little bit like, what the heck?
SDK, it's a really good restaurant. I think.
Yeah. But for us, it is everything, right? We are a technology business, but at the same time, we also are a financial services company. And when it comes down to that, it means trust, reputation, and that's something that we really value and something that I think the UAE has taken significantly seriously, particularly with creating a new regulatory authority here as well.
What's interesting, though, and Ahsan, I want to get your thoughts on this, because you're forward fronting in terms of corporate business. We know that tech is an enabler. We respect John say that, and he's put it very well. But is it also one of the things that's holding the business back to a certain degree because people just don't understand the tech? And is that what's preventing them from getting involved?
Yes, to some extent, but I think there are a lot more other things. Tech is relatively new. It's not something which has been there for a long time. There's an adoption as well. And I think the more important thing is for the mainstream adoption is the regulation and awareness as well. I think regulatory aspect is very important because there was no regulations around it. There is nothing on a framework. How do you know? How do you transact? How you interact with the people on the blockchain? What kind of products? What are the protocols? I think that's where the things are trying to come together, and especially in the UAE. The regulatory frameworks are pretty solid and robust. We've seen a lot of regulatory aspects coming into the play, and I think that's where this region is really shining. And I think from the bank's perspective, banks, financial institution brings a lot of trust into the whole ecosystem. People trust banks. Banks are highly regulated. They are very follow every regulations. They're trustworthy, and I think with the adoption of this technology from the digital banks like Zand, really puts it into the mainstream.
Gents, I want to continue this conversation, and we will throughout the course of this hour, but we've got to make time for a little bit of a breather. We're talking tokenization today, a couple of songs along the way as well. And if you're thinking about, what we're talking today, we're talking about tokenization. You're looking for one way to break away from the banking system as you know it. Do you want to get away from fiat currencies? I don't know.
I want to break free. I want to break free.